Hello, and welcome to the DecentraWise Podcast. My name is Pedro.
And I'm Miguel, and you just joined us in our mission to decentralize the world wisely.
Wisely, very important, and nothing more wise than privacy and security again, right?
Yeah, we still have to talk about it. There are a lot of topics that were pending from the last podcast. And let's make a short call on what we were talking last time. So we introduced on how blockchain works and the issues related to privacy, which we unfortunately have very little when dealing with blockchain. So I think on this podcast we should talk a little bit on how we can create some privacy.
Yeah. First of all, I want to apologize beforehand because I might have to cough a little bit because I'm under the weather.
You and me,
and
we're both.
I have a terrible cough, I will have to, from time to time, make some strange noises. Sorry, it's not that I can avoid it. It's
You won't look that bad because I also have the same issues. So let's go for it.
Flu. It's the flu of the times that we just happen to be blessed with,
Yeah, of course. Well, it's winter time.
There's no privacy in flus as well.
Yeah,
you just catch them, and
everybody can see, so it's not really private.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's go for it. So no privacy in blockchains, or at least in most of them. So how the hell can we have a little bit of privacy in the blockchain world?
You can have all. Just stop using public non-private blockchains and start using Monero.
Yeah, that is one option. Yeah.
So Monero is there's Monero, there's Zcash, but Zcash is pseudo decentralized. Let's not go in that discussion because that's a rabbit hole. Anyway, Monero is a true decentralized and privacy-centric blockchain. So if you are really, really into privacy, that's the way to go. You just don't use public blockchains and public on and off ramps. Or private on and off ramps, because public there are none right now, and you just use a privacy-centric blockchain.
So what's so special about Monero?
Monero uses a few algorithms that allow us to transact, not having a traceable any traceable information, like the from account, or the to account, or the amounts, or anything like that. So it's a completely different thing. You by transacting in Monero, you don't have any people cannot connect any of your transactions. They just know that there is a transaction, and they don't know from where to where, on what amount, or anything like that.
Yeah, well, I never saw a Monero transaction actually. But usually in the blockchain you have everything in clear text. So you just need to sign the transaction, and only your private key can make a verifiable signature on that. How does that work in Monero?
It's a mixture of zero knowledge
So
proofs
I know
and ring signatures.
it's not encrypted stuff, because encrypted stuff can be decrypted eventually. So it doesn't work like that, right?
No. So you have to generate an address for each transaction. It's what they call the stealth address. And then you use that address to transact only once. And the proofs that are sent to the blockchain are zero knowledge proofs with ring signatures. So um, only the parties involved can access parts of the information, and no one else. So that's it.
Yeah, and the beauty of zero knowledge is that no information is exchanged that can help you to reveal the secret. So
I'm sorry, I didn't warn you about this episode. We'll get extra nerdy. So grab your
as,
coffee,
as
and
if people
sit
didn't
back and
know about
relax.
that. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
damn it! I
because
forgot the coffee.
yeah.
That's what I'm missing. Yeah. Yeah. Well.
So, but yeah, that's uh, what I just interrupted you. Sorry, man.
No, I was
I am
just saying
capable of
that.
that. Uh,
Yeah, no
so
worries. No, I was just saying that there is an exchange of some information, but not the information not any information that can help you to reveal the secret. So, what you are trying to do with zero knowledge protocols is that you are trying to know if I know the secret, not
yeah,
the secret itself. So it's a different way of thinking, and because if you are signing a transaction, you are already giving some information that can help you to find your secret, which in this case is your private key, and to lead to some privacy concerns.
yeah,
Because even though that right now it's virtually impossible to find your private key, it's not impossible mathematically. It can take a lot of years, it can take whatever, but we don't know the technologies of tomorrow. And technology is advancing very rapidly, so that's the concern of cryptography and encrypting stuff. But
yeah,
it doesn't happen the same with zero knowledge protocols here, because you are not actually revealing any information that can help giving out the secret.
yeah. Zero knowledge proofs are like imagine there is the classic example of the guy at the cave, and there are two ways to go, and you can get a proof that the guy was there at least once at the end of at the other side of the cave. So, but you can imagine like that. If I can send you some information that unequivocally shows that I was at least once holder of the data, whatever data, that's a zero knowledge proof, right? Without sharing the data, I can share a proof that I had the data at least, or still have the data with me to someone else. So if you think of it like an hash of the data, right? The hash of the data is a proof that I have the data. Otherwise, I couldn't compute the hash. So if it's just that, no, it's not. It's a lot more complicated than that. But I am just simplifying it for the sake of this podcast. So if you think of it as an hash thing, the hash function can be achieved with the data, but not without it, right? The result is not achievable. So, and you cannot revert it. You cannot, from the hash, come to the data. So that's one very simple idea of a zero knowledge proof. But the algorithms that we are talking about here are quite complex.
Yeah,
Not
of course.
as simple as an hash.
Yeah,
right?
well, a simple example of that I saw is like you have you hand me two coins, two different coins, and you know how to distinguish those coins, but I don't. So I put them behind my back, and either I swap them or not, and then I show it to you again without seeing what I'm showing to you, and you just reply to me if I swapped it or not, if I swap the coins on my hands or not. And you do this 100 times, and this will give you unequivocally with a very good certain of degree if you know how to identify the coins or not without giving me any knowledge about it.
So this means that I would have to achieve the right result all the time.
Yeah,
And
which is virtually well, it's not
virtually
impossible, but it's
Yeah.
virtually impossible.
Yeah.
We are talking about to elevate it to minus 100, so it's a lot of zeros there.
Yeah. So that's one more complicated type of zero knowledge proof, and there are many algorithms. So, but that's the idea, right? Privacy on public things needs something like that. So, but that doesn't happen alone, right? You have to have a way to use that, and we were talking about PGP and GPG on the last episode, and yeah, that's kind of the same thing, but applied to proving something on the blockchain, right?
Yeah, but tell me something. This is example that I gave you will serve as a means of identifying yourself. So it doesn't allow me like encrypting something. If I encrypt something, I can expose some data on the internet on a public domain without anybody having knowledge of what is inside that data. But how does that work with zero proof?
Well, zero proof is used differently. It's not used to encrypt data. It's more to prove to the blockchain that you have the data.
Yeah. So as I was saying, it serves as a means of identification, as a proof that you are saying that you are you, for instance.
Yeah, or that a transaction happens, or
yeah.
that some contract adds some result. It's applicable to a multitude of situations.
Yeah,
but
so I mean, it's good. It's good for you, for instance, to do the same as signing a transaction, but it's not a good way of encrypting something. Is this correct?
Signing a transaction means that you have to have the transaction.
No, I know. I'm tracing a parallel here.
Yeah.
There you go.
See? I told you. Signing a transaction means that you have the transaction and you can check the signature if it matches, and if it's you that signed it, right? Exactly. And with zero knowledge proofs, you don't have to have the transaction. With the proof, you can prove that you know what transaction, and you were you creating that proof.
So how does the blockchain knows about if I'm transferring some money? Well, let's talk about Monero. How does the Monero blockchain knows that I sent some Monero to you?
That's tricky. That's why you have to create another address, and that address that needs to be funded, and then the funds belong to that chain, and the chain of events will occur, and nobody knows where they go. If and the one who has the proof can take the funds, whomever they.
So you just
So
put the funds in a wallet, and the one that has the secret
more.
is able to get it, right?
There's more behind it. I don't have it clear in my head. I would have to dig into it because there has been some time that I was working in Monero. And by the way, the code base of Monero suck. Don't go there. I spent quite some time around that, and oh man, what a nightmare. But anyway, that's something like that. A stealth address with funds attached, and then an UTXO or something like that is generated, and it just moves around on the blockchain.
Yeah, well, if I understood correctly, you have that stealth wallet address, and you put the funds there, and it's quite anonymous because it's a stealth wallet, and whoever has the secret is able to get those funds.
Yeah, there is a secret exchange, but it's a multi-party thing. It's not just a clear thing moving around. There's a lot of steps to that exchange of the proofs, and I don't want to be inaccurate, so I better to just keep it lightly, not just go too deep, because there's a lot of steps on that on that exchange of the
I can imagine, because any exchange will kind of invalidate the zero knowledge. So it will have to be something very, very well
and
thought.
it gets more complicated when you get multi-signatures on that, which also Monero has. I think it supports until 3 signatures or 5, something like that. But yeah, it's tricky, but it's the most secure, and the most secure, no, but the most private way to move money. But there are other ways. They are usually called mixers, and the one that was more emblematic was Tornado Cash, but there's plenty of them.
Right? Yeah, but even the mixers are kind of traceable.
If they are not used enough.
It's hard. Yeah.
If they are used enough.
Yeah. The more salt you add to the mix, the better it becomes. Yeah, I do agree. But what I was trying to get is that you kind of have a black hole inside, right? But you can trace what gets in and what gets out and where.
That's tricky, because usually you don't have to put in the same amount that you put out, that you take out. So if you use, if you are really cautious about that, about your privacy, you deposit a large amount and then use small amounts to make your transactions, right? And people just know that you have sent larger amounts to that black hole, as you called it, and smaller amounts are coming out with your instructions, and no one can link to you. So it's very difficult. They would have to sum all the right
Yeah.
smaller
Yeah,
amounts.
well, that's where I was trying to get into, because if you mathematically can see what's going in and what's going out, you can eventually trace
Yeah.
some transactions, and you can link wallets
If it's
with that.
just me and you on that mixer, then it's easy. But
Yeah, well,
if there are thousands
as
of
you were saying,
people,
if we are talking about 10 people using that, it's very easy to trace what's going on
yeah,
there. But if we are talking about thousands of people, it's a lot harder, of course. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, mixers are quite interesting because they were banned,
Yeah.
and the developers of Tornado Cash were arrested, and they were not arrested in China or in some uh, tyrannic regime.
Really?
No, they were arrested in Europe.
So it's a tyrannic regime. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
sorry, I just forgot about it. Yeah, they were arrested in Netherlands, which is the land of the free, where you can smoke marijuana everywhere.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I think it goes the other way around, right? Because if they wanted to smoke marijuana, it's because they want to be dumb. And dumb people usually vote for non-democratic stuff, like communist
well,
stuff.
they
So
will get what they deserved right now.
yeah,
I think
well, but
they
we
just
are. I'm also going to get what I don't deserve because I'm not voting for that.
yeah, but they just elected some crazy um, right, extreme rightist guy today in the last elections, right? I think the guy is really
Whew.
crazy. Wants to kill everyone that is not, or
Huh? Who?
send
I don't
them
know.
away from the country. Whomever just went there to
I don't
work.
know. I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, just search the internet for the new prime minister or president or whatever. Just look at his picture. It will tell you everything.
Yeah, but
He
from
doesn't
where?
have the mustache, but the looks are crazy anyway.
Yeah, no idea. I have to look for that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I there are a lot of people from the Netherlands that are nice people. So I don't want I don't want you any bad. So hopefully it's just a matter of looks and feels. But yeah, be careful, guys. That guy is very, very strange. Anyway, talking about privacy
Yeah.
and mixers and not politics, because here in this channel we don't like politics. Fuck them.
All.
Yeah. Anyway, so mixers are interesting concepts because that's why they shut them down and they hunt who provide those services, because they just destroyed the link between where the money was and where it went. It's as simple as that, and they are very easy to implement. Actually, we all should uh, create a mixer, all the developers, because that way they couldn't arrest us all. So maybe we could take it further. But yeah, I really think that we need more options on privacy because, as far as I know, these are the only two.
Yeah,
Uh,
most of the big blockchains. Well, most all of the big blockchains are totally transparent. so you can see everything that is going on. Which, in one case, it's really good because uh, if we are talking about criminals, and I'm not talking about um, drug dealers, and I'm not talking about terrorism or something like that. I'm really talking about governments. If you want to have something that it's really transparent, which you should want within a government, you should have some transparency there, or at least it should be 100% transparent. But
That's
if you
what they don't want.
Yeah, but if you are talking about your own life, you don't want the government to have insights on your life, or you don't want maybe there are people that do, but some people also don't want that companies have insights on your life, and that's an issue when we are talking about browser cookies, when you are talking about your processor ID, stuff like that that can identify where your whereabouts in the internet. So some people don't want. I personally don't like that my stuff is being tracked. So I would like some privacy there. But most major blockchains don't allow you for privacy. The ones that do are actually not public blockchains.
Yeah. So, related to privacy, I think there's not much more to talk about, right? Uh, Either you use stuff to keep yourself private on chain, or if you don't, you should expect that your data is being tracked, and sooner rather than later, people will know more about you than yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
well,
if you are
it's
okay
what
with
it
that,
happens because if companies are collecting data, they can use things that use that knowledge better than you that will forget what you did last week.
and if it's very annoying to be tracked and to be subject to data collections from Google and those big corporations that send you a bunch of undesired ads to your browser tabs or to your email or here and there. Just imagine what they can come up if they know all your financial history.
Yeah, well, it's when we are talking about companies that don't want to display any kind of how should I they don't want to seem very intrusive at this moment, but what I've been noticing in the last years is that that is disappearing. So are really they really don't mind about things that they would mind 10 years ago. So they are becoming more and more intrusive as the time goes by because
Yeah.
people are getting adapted to that intrusiveness. So what I want to say by this is that I predict that in the future they will be a lot more intrusive, and people will be used to that kind of, and it will be harder and harder to go back on that.
Yeah. Yeah, because once you have exposed your data, there's no turning back, right? You cannot unpublish things, or you can, but they still are tracked anyway, right? So that's the problem. Before the information that you share becomes public, that's where you have to act, right?
Mhm.
Uh, because after it is public, then there's no turning back. You cannot unsee or unshare
Yeah, but
stuff.
yeah, the thing there is that then companies there is a tradition of selling databases between companies, and what is considered private or public is a lot fuzzy at this moment.
Yeah.
So even though it's a private company and you are thinking that that information doesn't go anywhere, it's contained there. It's not, because they are selling between companies, and it's a lot more public than you think.
And there's not just selling. If you imagine that,
Well, I mean, selling, they are sharing somehow. I don't care if
yeah,
there is an exchange of money
but
there.
it's not that uh, stuff only. There are data leaks all the time,
Mhm. Yeah.
everywhere. Today, I had a data leak in a client of mine, or it was not. It was um, it was not a real one. But anyway, there are happening all the time, and we have to um, realize that our data on the other side of the internet is always at risk.
Yeah, and you need to consider this. There is this website. I don't recall the name right now, which records all the passwords that are not secure at this moment because there was a data breach. And if you go there, you can see the millions of passwords that were already breached. And this is because somehow there was a data breach in some website that you use your passwords on.
Mhm. Yeah, but passwords are very insecure already.
No, I know. What I'm saying is that it's your personal information that was breached. So, and probably not only the passwords, but also your personal information.
Always, if there is something that you store anywhere and you use just a password, beware, because that's why we have two-factor authentication, because uh, there are 2 points that interfere in the sign-in process.
Yeah,
It's
but that
not
doesn't
just a
save you from a
password.
data breach.
No, but at least it limits, because a data breach will expose my passwords, but only I have the device or the a way to get my second factor as well, right?
Mhm.
And if I lose my second factor, they don't have my password, so it's harder for them to, using that second factor, use anything from me, and I can change the passwords before they are able to access anything. So it's better. It's not perfect,
No,
because
it's not,
there's
because there you go. If they can, there is a data leak in some website. The 2FA doesn't protect you from that. So the attacker gets the information, gets your private information anyways. It just doesn't allow you to make any operations on the website.
uh yeah, but it's more than
Yeah, well, it's better than nothing, right?
yeah.
But well, it doesn't
But there
really
are there are
protect you. Well,
websites there are websites that don't finish the login before you enter your authentication codes, so that they cannot even log in. But that depends. There are
yeah,
the
but
two
usually data
use
breaches are
cases.
not through logins,
Yeah.
are to some through some exploit on some service that they have, and they can access the information through some backdoor.
Or human error.
Usually,
Uh,
it's what it is. It's
yeah.
something that attackers can exploit, which are not passwords, because yeah,
Yeah. It's
it's not.
very.
When
Sorry.
they use passwords, it's usually through phishing. So yeah.
So security on the internet it's very tricky, right? And on the blockchain, it gets even more important, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in what ways can we secure? We were talking about putting your stuff on the internet in centralized services, which can be exploited, unfortunately. Uh, so I, I wanted to steer the conversation in which ways can we increase the security of our data and eventually our privacy. So one way would be to decentralize where the information is, but how to do that in a private way. So we have IPFS, but it's not private.
It can be
How?
by encrypting.
Yeah, but encryption is not a really secure way, right? We were talking about that we can have not right now, because decrypting something can take thousands of years with current technology, but we don't know tomorrow's technology. So you know that stuff on the internet stays forever, and eventually it can be decrypted. We just don't have the technology today, but we can have it in a year or so. So
Yeah, that problem is still to be solved, and I don't know if it is, if it
I
will
was
ever
hoping
be.
that you have a solution for this, but
No, because yeah, there will be always technology evolution, and it's a question of if 100 years from now the information is relevant or not, right? If it is still relevant, then there you have a problem. But if the information is relevant for 10 years or 15 years, and then it becomes irrelevant or unusable, then you don't have a problem, right?
yeah, well,
And
that is correct. But if
in a couple of years, there is more technology, and if it becomes too risky to have 256 bits encryption, you just put 512 or
yeah, you can have to pay.
1024,
Yeah, you can have that.
and
What I was trying to get is that eventually that will become insecure one day. So
it's
uh,
it's it's
I
always a matter of information
yeah, and
usefulness
context. Yeah,
in
it's a matter of context,
in
because
time.
the information may not be relevant in 10 years, but it can also be relevant in 10 years.
Mhm.
So, for instance, if I'm storing um, for instance, the photos that I take from my kids, I don't want it to be public. I want probably share with some family, but I don't want it to be public. So one of uh, the measures that I take is I'm not putting my photos in the cloud. So I have a private server. I have it not public on the internet, but I can share those photos with the family eventually. So one way is to have your own private solutions, which mitigates the issue that having thousands of people, for instance, on Gmail, it's a honeypot. So if you manage to exploit Gmail, you have access to millions of accounts, right? And if you start splitting that information, the honeypot is not that big, so the incentive is also not that big.
Yeah,
So I
and that's
this is
and
one way of
that's
mitigating the risk, right?
Yeah, that's if you apply that to blockchain, if you want to be more secure, you should have multiple uh, addresses or accounts, and keep all of them offline,
Yeah,
right? So, how do you keep offline an account offline on the blockchain? That's probably what you that are watching are thinking. There are plenty of ways. You can have a paper wallet. It's the easiest one, right?
right.
Don't generate a paper wallet in a website, okay? Come on.
Yeah, be
This is
smart.
for developers. You should be a developer
Yeah,
watching this podcast.
yeah, be
So
smart. If they are giving you this huge key, they can be storing also that key,
yeah.
right?
So if you want to generate a paper wallet, uh, either you make your own script because it's peanuts doing that,
Yeah,
or you just grab one from GitHub, inspect the code, see if it's not sending it
right.
anywhere, and use it locally to generate your accounts, right? If you want to use some more user friendly or beautiful thing, you can go to a paper wallet website on GitHub, inspect the code, right? And run it locally.
Yeah, do
And
your own diligence. But you also have hardware keys, which are quite secure. So you can also do that. You can also go to browser wallets, and which are not that secure because there are exploits in browsers. So be aware of that.
there
Uh,
are exploits in browsers.
no,
Oh
I'm just
man.
joking. Uh, so I mean, there are very secure ways of doing it, and they are more flexible. And the more flexible it becomes, the less secure
Even last
they
week,
become.
there was an hack on browser wallets.
You really didn't know, didn't hear about it.
No, yeah,
What
but
was it?
was I don't remember. I just read it on the feeds that I get. But yeah, there was a leak or
Yeah,
a hack
that's what I was
on
talking
browser
about, guys.
local
Yeah,
storage,
yeah,
and yeah, websites store locally all the shit, and
yeah.
sometimes developers just get lazy and they store private keys on local storage. And yeah,
Yeah, it's not a good idea. No, not a good
at
idea.
least not
So
here.
that's what I was talking about. So the browser wallets are more flexible. They are more useful, and they are handy, of course. But they are less secure because they are vulnerable to this kind of exploits, and it's not the wallet's fault most of the time. But they interact with a lot of software, right? They interact with a lot of websites, and you don't know what the mix of the wallet and plus the websites will do. So
And there's all sorts of attacks that can be done on that front because, uh, for instance, you can be using uh, a legit website with a wallet and you get used to that and so on. But you just go in a public network, do a transaction, and there is some guy with some computer next to you, which is then DNS spoofing the network. And you just, instead of connecting to Uniswap, you connect to a Uniswap version, like a Uniswap like website, where you see all your information, but it's a drainer.
yeah,
And you just sign a transaction, and all the funds on your wallet are gone. And then you say it's Uniswap. No, it was not. It was just a DNS spoofed phishing attack.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly. So, and there are many in the middle attacks, and there are lots of of attacks, and there are exploits. Like you get reports like every day on CVE, and you can see that exploits happen very frequently, and that's why you have also updates on secure libraries and on secure software. And yeah, things are evolving, things are becoming more secure, and it's getting harder and harder to make those attacks. But yeah, well, it's not impossible.
it's just a matter of being at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh yeah, well, if you are talking about phishing attacks, it's there's not much that a software developer or a product can do. They can take some safety measures like saying, well, check our URLs, check our logos, check whatever. We don't send you emails asking you to click on anything. But people most of the times don't know about those security measures.
Yeah.
So they are vulnerable to those kinds of attacks.
Yeah. And I think we as developers, we have the responsibility to try to mitigate the best we can, or try to educate the best we can, or try to uh, avoid some kind of less cautious uh, measures that we can take on our projects, because even taking all the measures you can imagine today, it will get exploited somehow eventually. So we need to be really doing our best to avoid that, because every time there is an exploit, I feel very sad, because this space just
Yeah, because it
showed
makes us look bad.
showed that we are not doing enough, right?
Yeah, it makes us look bad, and people look at blockchain projects already as something not. It's cloudy. It's very difficult to understand, uh, and
Don't
sometimes it's painted in a really bad way. So
don't interpret me in the wrong way. I'm not saying it's the developer's fault, because we cannot predict
no,
everything.
no, it's not what I'm saying. Also, what I'm saying is that we are the face of what happens.
Yeah, we just need to be always looking out for new information and new attack vectors
Yep.
and new for instance, on my work tabs, I always have uh, the major uh, what's the name of that? Not mailing lists, but in Substacks. Um, always at my fingertips,
Yep.
because and all the time that I have that I can navigate through them, it's time well spent, right? Because it just shows me that every fucking week we have a multitude of shit happening on this space, and
Yeah.
we need to be aware of that, because only then we are able to act and do better, right?
Yep. Well, exactly. But like you were saying, it's not only depend. It doesn't only depend on us. There are things that we cannot do, like the phishing
Yeah,
attacks. They're very hard to overcome.
we need to create new things, um, and try them out.
Yeah.
For instance, one thing that I found really interesting on exchanges is that they created um, a anti-phishing code. So you can put on your profile whatever word you want on the anti-phishing code, and then all the email exchange from the exchange to your account needs to have that anti-phishing codes on the email.
Mhm. Yeah, well, but
It's an easy
people
step,
need, yeah, but people need to be aware that phishing is a thing, and I think most people don't even realize that.
but that's
Let me give you an example. If people receive an email from their bank, they will click it,
Mhm.
not being aware that it's most probably a phishing attack, because banks don't do that, and they warn people, please don't click on emails that are sent by us, because we don't send any links for you to click. But people don't know this. So
yeah. That's
even
why
though that
education.
there is a measure, it's a measure for people that already know about that.
Yeah, but the education is also part of that process.
Yeah.
So you have to send information to your customers, telling them from this point on, we ask you to put this information on your profile. This
Yeah.
is used for this and that and that and that. If you want to learn more, go to see our videos on our documents and learn about it. And people do
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
So, and then they will learn a new thing, that phishing is a thing, and they should just when they receive an email from you, they should search for the anti-phishing code and
Mhm.
see if it's there. If it's not there, it's probably an attack.
Yeah.
It's an easy thing, but
Yeah, well.
education is a very big step on this,
Mhm.
and that's where we fail most of the times, because it's not a direct profitable thing. It's the exact opposite. You just spend money and never get it back,
Yeah.
right? So, but it's very important for companies to do this process, because they also, when they get hacked, because they will if they don't take precautions against these attacks, it's just a matter of time.
Mhm.
uh, they also look bad, and that is even worse than spending a
Yeah,
small
well,
amount of
that's why
money.
they are trying to mitigate that risk on phishing attacks, and they are trying also to educate people. There is another
Yeah.
topic that I would like to get into, because passwords are very insecure. So I'm quite sure you kind of disagree on what I'm going to say, but I think wallet signing is much better than passwords. So yeah, say your piece about it.
I like wallet signing. I don't have anything to against it. Uh, only for it, because uh, signatures is something that is not forgeable and it's not easy to attack, right? It's not easy to uh, have for instance, password list, like a signature list. It's useful. It's useless, because the signature without the data that it certifies is useless. So it's good. It's a good thing. What I don't like is the user interfaces that we have right now. They suck,
Yeah,
and I think uh, MetaMask, in this case, it's the user interface that we mostly use for that, made a terrible job from the beginning, trying to help users understand what they are signing. Uh, if you check, you don't have to go very far, uh, or you can go like to 2019 or 2018 and check the kind of wallet signing that we already had back then on DPoS chains. For instance, I'm talking about DPoS because it's the what I know better. You can check on EOS. You can check on um, chains like Hive or even BitShares, right? So there is a lot of uh, information there that was already experimented and um, created ways for transactions to become apparent to the user, right? Uh, so that the wallet could interpret the transaction uh, itself and know what it means. Because the problem is a simple transfer is easy to interpret, but in a chain like Ethereum or any EVM chain, you have thousands of function calls that you don't know what they get or what's the ABI or the interface and so on, right?
Yeah,
So
what I think you're trying to say here, it's what it looks to me. If the wallet is asking me to sign a message or a transaction, to me it just looks the damn same.
yeah,
And
so
that's the bloody issue.
it's
They,
getting better, but I think we can do much better than that because
yeah,
if you analyze everything is public on the blockchain, and when you publish a smart contract, you publish a smart contract and an ABI, right? And the ABI is also stored for you to access that contract. So, or it's possible to have that information. So, I really think that the wallets should take that issue carefully. There are other experiments you can check. For instance, um, on other chains like Stacks, they have Hydro Wallet, and Hydro Wallet has the smart contracts are implemented in Stacks. They have pre and post conditions that need to be met for the transaction to become valid, so that either the wallets can use that information to show you with if you sign this thing, uh, this amount of money will be taken out of your wallet. It's a simple thing, right?
yeah. Well, the
And
difference there is that it's clear on the message they are trying to portray
yeah,
to the user, right? Because, for instance, if you want to use your wallet for instance, for logging in, instead of using a password, because it's a lot safer. You are not storing a password or some sort of encrypted password in some centralized website. It's asking you and you have your password, and your password never leaves your domains. So it's a lot safer, but it's not transparent, or it's not very obvious what you are signing. It's just a bunch of
yeah,
gibberish that shows up. It's getting better there are protocols to make it better already, but it's not obvious on the interface, because even MetaMask is not very obvious showing that difference.
and also if you it's not just MetaMask. If you go to all the
No, other wall,
wallets that use
I
Wallet
like that.
Connect or anything, the information shown is poor,
Yeah,
to be very very
it's not that
light.
it's poor; it's very low level, and people
Yeah,
just ignore it. They just
yeah,
scan it
that's
in the diagonal, right? And yeah,
what
well,
happens if you don't show the right information to
yeah,
users, right? You don't have to show every information, because if you show too much, the users will don't look either, right?
yeah,
You have to show the right information, and that's the problem. And that's why all the wallets and all the signing mechanisms, the creators of those tools should be always investigating and improving on that front. It's
Yeah.
not just doing more stuff, just do less stuff better.
Yeah, I
Right?
do agree.
Yeah, and that's the problem, because you don't have to invent anything. Come on, guys, just look at other projects. Look at Scatter Wallet for on EOS, for instance, or on EOS had something that was very interesting, like Ricardian contracts,
Yeah.
uh, which showed information about what should be done in each function, and it was provable.
Yeah.
And with that information, you could show your users, by signing this transaction, you are accepting this
Yeah.
uh,
This is
contract in
the textual contract.
English
Yeah.
or Spanish or whatever, right? Uh, there are plenty of attempts to make this right. And I really think that we should pay more attention to that instead of
Yeah.
creating cool shit. That's it.
Yeah. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is about identities in the blockchain, and how that can impact your privacy.
Well, that's
I know it's a big subject.
so you
Let's
kept
not
it
dive a lot into that because we are at the end of this episode.
you kept
But
it to the end of the
let's
show
scratch the
to end
surface.
to end
Yeah.
in a very
In a big bang. Yeah.
yeah. It's craziness, right? With all that we talked about in this episode, publishing your ID information without more secure or more private or more and I'm not talking about the projects that are using that are implementing this kind of shit, because there's plenty of good things, right? um,
And there's plenty of
with zero
reasons
knowledge
to have
proofs
that.
and all those things. Most of the ID protocols, they have privacy in mind, right?
Mhm.
But other protocols don't. And regular users don't know how to distinguish from a protocol that uses zero knowledge proofs and all those important things, and projects like WorldCoin that scan your iris and store it in servers.
Yeah, well.
Okay. Anyway, identity and genetic information and identifiable human information, it's very tricky.
Yeah.
Mixed with chains, public chains, and
Yeah, which you cannot delete.
yeah, don't go that route. At least for now, until there are verifiable, privacy-centric, real protocols working for years.
Yeah.
Without data breaches and without being hacked and without being defined as insecure or not decentralized, right? Because it's the same thing. If you have something that is not decentralized enough and it belongs to a company, run away, right?
Yeah.
If Bitcoin would be belonging to a company, it wouldn't exist today.
All right.
Right?
At least as we know it.
And if there are companies involved in projects, it's always a red flag.
Mhm.
Inspect more, right?
Yeah.
Because the beauty of decentralization is that you don't have to create a company,
Yeah. Right.
right? It's the other way around.
Well,
The
it's not just that.
blockchain, the
It's not just
blockchain
that. And let me get you what
is the
is the big
organization.
advantage. What is the big advantage of decentralization? If you have only one person deciding on something, that person will make really bad decisions eventually. It's the same thing as you have in a dictatorship, right? You have only one person, and eventually that person will start to make really bad decisions.
Really?
Really. But if you have
I thought that dictators were extremely capable people. They just
right, right, right. On the other hand, if you have a
especially
lot of
those with the
people,
mustache.
yeah, if you have a lot of people making decisions, it might not be the best decisions, but it will also not be the really bad decisions. So that's my take on that.
But there's, well, governance and voting is an episode in itself. Um, but yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? The more people you add to the mix, the more it's like finding the median of
Yeah,
a value, right?
and that's what
Uh,
that's what
it takes out the
avoids you.
extremes.
Yeah, and that's what avoids you to go
Yeah,
in a really bad way.
but
It
usually,
might not be the best, but
yeah,
it's certainly not the worst.
the other side of it is the lack of it's very hard to be responsive enough
Mhm.
with that kind of uh, governance because yeah, with more people it becomes completely it becomes very difficult to get anything done, right?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
But anyway, uh, governance on other episodes.
Yeah, we'll have to make one and a deep dive on governance for
Yeah,
sure.
and voting and all that is tricky.
Yeah, but
Um,
you don't want to go into politics, so that is anything, but it's everything regarding to politics. So
yeah, we
yeah,
can.
we have to go into politics anyway. So
We will have to talk about it anyway because
yeah,
when we talk about governance in decentralized, but
yeah,
that's a topic for another
yeah,
later
it will be a
episode.
full episode for sure.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, because decentralized is also a blockchain organization,
Yeah.
so you might not know, but we are. We are decentralized. Can you imagine that shit? Yeah.
Go figure
Uh,
that.
so yeah, I think identity on blockchain is very early, and um, I am curious about all the technology that is being developed, especially in attestations, which are very cool. Uh, so it means that you can collect attestations from certified entities that you have this course or you have that shit or that whatever you have your car or your house, uh, all of that. uh, And it's cool, and there are projects that are working on the privacy stuff that you can uh, create proofs to send to others without showing uh, your data, or showing just the data that you want to share. So there's a lot being worked on this, and yeah, it's just a matter of time until we do it right. But we have to go through this process of
Yeah.
doing it wrong before. So don't get
Yeah, we need to
uh,
find the flaws there.
yeah. Let's just experiment with not very tricky data for now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah,
It was a nice show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the like button, click on the bell so if that you get
if you
notified of
click the
further videos.
subscribe, if you click the
No, the
subscribe,
subscribe is here, not here. Come on.
you click the
No,
subscribe
no,
to
no, it's
like
here.
me, and you click the like button to like Miguel.
Yeah, you can do that. Or you
Let's
can just
see.
click. You can
Let's
just
see who
click everywhere.
wins.
Just follow us. And if you want to ask us some questions, you have the links there on our Telegram and our social media. Ask us questions, doubts, or anything you want us to talk about. And that's it for today, guys.
Yeah.
See you in the next one.
Enjoy our mission with us to decentralize the world wisely.
Wisely.
And see you guys in the next episode.
See you
Cheers.
in the next one.
Bye bye.